I'm Debbie and welcome to Book and Bujo, where I talk about all things books, bullet journals, and stationery. Join me today for my November Readathon wrap-up. To start with, for November, I was participating in the seasonal spooky challenge, and this was put together by Cassidy from Covers With Cassidy. And this one was a 3-month readathon, so September, October, and November. And you could double up on prompts. The only thing was that anything in these two categories had to be the same. If you picked one book for this section, you also had to try and fit it in to this section, and then these ones are all the bonus prompts. For an urban setting as well as an audiobook, I read A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair, and that was really good. It was a Hades and Persephone retelling, and I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. And then for summer camp and young adult book, I read Camp Lanier by Sylvester Barzy. Now, it was kind of interesting. It's a low-key thriller, and I talk about it a little bit more in my 13 Spooky Reads wrap-up, and I will leave that linked up above in the cards for you if you want to check it out. Next, we have an isolated setting as well as a book you didn't buy, and for that I read What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher, and this is a retelling of The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe. Small town and a new release, and I read Pumpkin Man 2 Origin Story, and that is by Penny Moons. And while I didn't like it quite as much as Pumpkin Man Jane, it was still quite fun and interesting. It gives you kind of that cheesy slasher 80s movie vibe, but still has kind of an interesting story that goes along with it. Southern and on someone else's TBR, and for this I read The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix, and it was okay. Again, you can go to the 13 Spooky Reads wrap-up and hear more thoughts on that. And then Haunted House and a novella, I read The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe. For coastal and new author, I read Monsters Born and Made by Tanvi Burwa, and that one was an interesting book. It was really good. It didn't give me the kind of spooky vibes I was really looking for, but it was a really interesting story. And then, since we were able to double up, we have In the Woods and Diverse Rep. I also read Camp Lanier by Sylvester Barzy, and there's definitely racial diversity in that book. And then we have the cover prompts, and you can, if you had books from here and here that also fit cover prompts or the bonus challenges, you could use them for all of them. So that was nice. For cover prompts, we have Hands, and that was Pumpkin Man 2. There's a nice big hand on there holding up the pumpkin head. For window, this one I struggled a little bit. I mean, the windows are somewhat prominent, but they're not the most prominent thing, but I still counted it. For windows as well as for water, I used Camp Lanier. For weapon, I used a Blood Hunter because on the cover she has a dagger in her hand. Actually, there's a couple of different covers, but one of them does have the weapon. For animal, Shadow of the Batgirl. For eyeballs, again, it depends on the cover that you have, but the cover I used for Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury had a giant eyeball on the front. For tech, I read Cinder by Marissa Meyer. And then for blood, I used Blood Ever After. Again, that was not a good book. I should have DNF'd that one. That was not good. But anyway, moving on. Bonus challenges. Vampires, I did read a few. So Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff and Awakened Vampire are both good ones for that. For cults, Blood Hunter definitely worked. Cannibals, Blood Ever After worked. Zombies, yeah. Mixed media, I read Illuminae by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman, and that was amazing. I love that book. I don't know why it took me so long to read it. So good. So good. I can't wait to get to the next one. For ghosts, we have Camp Lanier, most definitely, and sort of Saga Volume 6. And then for serial killer, again, Camp Lanier. So that is the spooky challenge done. Next we have the final book support group, and that is put together by Steph Loves, and it is usually like a week-long or a weekend challenge. I usually do it throughout the entire month, so I take one full month to read all of the books because I like to do all of them, all of the prompts that are in there. And for the first prompt, longest series, now originally I was going to use Wheel of Time because that is a really long series, but I moved that to December. Since I am a little bit ahead on that read along, I decided to move that one to December. Instead, I went with Endfall by David Estes, and this is the 5th book in the Kingfall History series. So there is 5 books in the series, and this is amazing. Oh my gosh, I love this series. This book was like the best ending, and you have to read all of the bits at the end that are kind of tagged on. Oh my goodness. So good. There are parts of it that just had me laughing out loud. Other parts that just made me like, oh, all the feels and all the action and oh, so good. Such a good series. Characters, and you got political stuff going on. There's wars and there's enemies and friendships and just, oh my gosh, so much good stuff in this book series. You have to read it. So it's a little 9-spot bingo card. So the second spot is share your TBR on socials, which I did. And then number 3 is a book on your previous TBR. And for that one, I put Pale Kings, which I am still in the middle of. I am on, well, in this one, it's got all 4 books in it, so I'm actually on page 820, but that's because I already read the first book, and this is the second one, and there's like over 2,000 pages in this book. So, yeah, I'm like 64% of the way through, so I probably will not finish it in November, but I will finish it the first couple days of December. It shouldn't take me too much longer to get through it, but yeah, I'm really liking that one. So it's Pale Kings by Ben Galley, the second book in the Emaneska series. And then self-care, so I did a couple different things. I did a really nice bath night, had a glass of wine, I had a candle, did my little bath bomb, and just enjoyed some time with a book in the bathtub. And then today I had some acupuncture. So this one is actually a laser acupuncture, cold laser. So there's no needles involved. So if you're anyone who is not into needles but would love to get the benefits of acupuncture, that is also an option, but it was wonderful and I feel refreshed and renewed. And then we move into final book. And for this one, there's actually a couple. I mean, Endfall, that was a final book, but there was another book that I finished that was more of a novella that finished out and completed a series, and that one was a 5-book series with this novella at the end, and that's Of Wings and Shadow by Kyoko M. And this was so good. It basically followed along with the great hunt that happened in the 5th book, but this is from the other team's perspective. So you have the home team, and so you've been following their perspectives throughout all 5 of the books, but then they were competing against another team, and this one gave you that team's perspective. So I thought that was really fun. So next spot was graphic novel, manga, or novella. So I could use Of Wings and Shadow in this one as well, but I also read The Ice by Ryan Cahill, and this is the little novella that comes between the 3rd and the 4th book. So I am now completely caught up with the series, and I can't wait for the next book to come out in early 2025. So excited. This one was great. It's from the perspective of one of the characters that he's like a great character, and he's a good guy, but he's also kind of infuriating at times. It was kind of interesting being in his head and seeing things from his perspective, but he's still kind of an infuriating character. You like him, but not necessarily. And then I also read Something is Killing the Children, Volume 2 by James Tynion IV. And I am actually looking forward to continuing with that series as well. Continuation station. So I could use Something is Killing the Children. I could use The Ice because those are all continuing a series. But I went with Deadly Dreams by KJ Sutton, and this is the 3rd book in the Fortuna Sworn series. And while it's not my favorite series, it's still kind of interesting, and there was some interesting twists in this book. I mean, there's always either some kind of like huge cliffhanger or some kind of twist or reveal that has you thinking just like, wait, what? So in that aspect, this did not disappoint. And then spot 8 was a poll pick, and for this one I read The Lies of Loch Lamora by Scott Lynch, and this is the first book in the Gentleman Bastard series, and this was great. I did read this and I really loved it. So this, to me, it felt a little Six of Crows but for adults. Definitely some dark stuff happening in here and some just gross, yeah. But it was really good. So if you like Six of Crows, but it's a little too YA for you, and you like high stories, I would try The Lies of Loch Lamora because it was so good. The characterization throughout is so good. You really get to know all of the characters, and you have some political intrigue in there as well, plus the heist, and yeah, it's good. I'm hoping to get to Red Seas Under Red Skies next month. We'll see, because I have another heist prompt. So it's either going to be that or Crooked Kingdom, because I've read the first book in both of those series this year. So probably get to the next one. All right, and then lastly, we had new release, and I have not done this one yet because I still have not been able to get it from my library. I'm like 7th for the physical book and like 12th or 16th. It says it's like 22 weeks before I will get the audiobook. So yeah, I may have to sign up for a free trial somewhere to be able to listen to this book, but we'll see. I'm kind of pushing that into December and hoping that I can get it. So that was it for the final book support group. Next is Tomes and Treasures, and that is with The Creepy Geek and Ashleighs Bookish Life. And this one was super fun. So my character is Glawain, and she is a baker and a healer. And she was very excited to get into this next chapter of Tomes and Treasures. This one is a job board. So you can go through and pick and choose different things that you may want to help out with and get a little coin on the way. So we had a security required for Trader's Caravan. Speak to Gerard. Read a book with travel, and for that I am still reading Pale Kings by Bengali, which is the second book in the Emaneska series, so I will have that one finished soon. Next, Missing. The Bane family's sacred sword has been lost. Please help. A book with a weapon on the cover, and for that I read Only the Worthy by Morgan Rice, and I really enjoyed this book, and I definitely want to continue with the series because it was really interesting, and it's The Way of the Steel, Book 1. Next is anyone going to get that halfling fellow out of the well? Read a short book. And for this, there's actually a couple. I read Shadow Knight's Origin by Michael Webb, and again, I really enjoyed this one too and would like to continue with the series. And the other one that I read, which I just talked about, is The Ice by Ryan Cahill. Next prompt was The Statuette of Saint Edema is missing. If you have any information, please visit the temple. And that is to read a book with religion or gods, and I actually have 2 going for that one. And the one is Pale Kings by Bengali, which I'm still in the middle of reading, and the other is Enfall by David Estes. And then we have second row, My Chickens Have Escaped. Help an Old Farmer Out. Heinrich. Read a book with an animal companion or an animal on the cover. Because I didn't think about it before, but there is a couple that I have. So we have Of Wings and Shadow by Kyoko M. There's a dragon on the cover. The Ice. There's a dragon on the cover. So there you go. The Ice and Of Wings and Shadow. There's the dragons. But the one I chose was Malice. So we have the wolf on the cover up there, and this is by John Gwynne, the first book in the Faithful and the Fallen series, and I love this one. So there's a few books that I read in November that took me almost a third of the book to like really get into the book, the characters, the story, all of that. This one, within the first chapter, I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. Let's get reading. The other ones, I was like, okay, I gotta read this. Let's keep going. And I finally did get into those ones, but this one hooked me right away. Next, That Skeleton Has Been Wandering Around for Days. Can someone please deal with it? Read a horror or a book that scares you. And I read Blood Ever After, which I have now deleted from my Kindle because it was that bad. Yeah. Then, bit embarrassing, but I've dropped everyone's letters. If found, please hand in to the general store. Sorry, Rick Rod the postman. Read an epistolatory book, and for this one, Ashley did suggest this one. She said it works, and it does work really well for the prompt, and that is Illuminae by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman, and this is a set of interviews between one, like the government or someone, and individuals that were around when a certain event took place. And so this is kind of the interviews back and forth, and then some other stuff that happens. But yeah, it's all pretty much in the form of letters or transcripts, things like that throughout the story. This was great. I would love to see this as a movie or a TV series or something. It would be amazing. So good. Prompt number 8. Dirty Delves Industries needs you. The mine is well behind quota, so if you're strong and able, lend a hand. Read a book with jewel tones or foiling on the cover. Well, this one has both. We have that beautiful copper foiling, and we have this lovely emerald color. And I guess you could kind of say this is a little bit of a topaz. Sorta. And yes, I love that book. It's so good. Prompt number 9, wanted. Discreet individual to assist local scientist at Bluff Point in totally mundane experiments. Read a sci-fi or a book involving science. So I got two books for this one. First, I read Outlive by Peter Attia, and this one is the science behind longevity and what you can do to live longer. So that was a book involving science, and then a sci-fi was, well, actually, a couple of them. So we had Of Wings and Shadow, which is a sci-fi, and we also have Illuminae. So all 3 of those books work for this prompt. Need someone to deliver a letter to the lass I'm trying to woo in the next town over. Our postie is useless. Keith. Read a book with your favorite romance trope. And for this one I read Only the Worthy by Morgan Rice, and this did have kind of a true love trope to it. Winter is coming and I'm low on ingredients. Can someone collect the below? Forced cabbage, sprig and bark, Belch Angelica. Cheers, Healer Trish. Read a book featuring healers, fantasy or modern. I went with Enfall by David Estes, and this one, there is a godling, and she has the power to heal people. So if they are injured or have just passed away recently, she can use her blood to bring them back or to bring them healing. Healers. Feeling artistic? The town mural is underway and we have spare paintbrushes. Read a graphic novel or manhwa. And I read Something is Killing the Children, Volume 2 by James Tinian IV. Prompt 13. Bard wanted. Speak to Nan at the Swift Chicken if interested. Read a book involving music or read an audiobook. I didn't have a book specifically involving music, but I did have quite a few audiobooks, so I could use Enfall or Illuminae. Those both work, and I mean, there is some music a little bit mentioned in both of those books, so I mean, it kind of counts a little bit. Get your fortune told for free. Apprentice fortune teller looking for experience. Ask for V at the Swift Chicken. Lucky Dip. Wheel, TBR jar, number generator, etc. And so I did do a number generator for my 13 Spooky Reads wheel, and that was Blood Ever After by Sean O'Connor. Got a rat problem at the brewery? Free ale if you sort them out. Carl. Clear out your shelf. Read a book from your backlist. And that one I read Deadly Dreams by KJ Sutton because it has been on there for a while. Cartographer looking for someone to do field work and test out some new maps. Speak to Arno if interested. Read a book with a map. And there's a couple, I think, that had maps in it. So I think Malice had a map in it, but Enfall also had a map in it. So either of those work. All right, last 4. Local guide wanted. Staying at the Swift Chicken. Ask for Norrell. Reread a favorite or continue a favorite series. So I ended up continuing a series because I didn't have any rereads this month, and that was The Ice and by Ryan Cahill and Of Wings and Shadow by Kyoko M. Mercs needed. Security gig for nearby travelers camp. Inquire at the barracks. Read a book with night, stars, or moon on the cover or in the title. And for that one I read Shadow Nights by Michael Webb. Prompt number 19. The new travel sigil is finally operational, we think. Testers wanted. Read a portal fantasy. And this one, the description did say there was a portal between the worlds, and they talk about it a few times. None of our main characters actually go through the portal, but it is there, and there are creatures from one side coming into where our main characters are via that portal. Veil thing. And that was Autumn Antics by Zoe Tassia, and I love this book. It was so cute. It was exactly what I wanted for the autumnal vibes in autumn season. And there was trick-or-treating and Halloween, and it was just super fun. And this is part of the Shrouded Isle series. It's kind of like a companion novel to that series. And I haven't actually read that series, but I really want to now because I love all the characters. They were great. And then lastly, you will have heard of these books before, I think. The ramp is ready to install at the town hall if anyone can lend a hand this week. Read a book with disability rep, physical, mental, or hidden. And for this one, I read Endfall by David Estes, but The Ice by Ryan Cahill also works. So we have disability rep and we have mental health rep in both books. So that is Tomes and Treasures all done. And that was the end of my November Readathon books, which was super fun. It was a great reading month, and I had a lot of fun with all of the books. But I also have an unboxing. I'm so excited. I've been sitting here waiting to film. Most of the stuff I've been filming, unboxing didn't really kind of fit in with it, so I haven't opened yet. So I'm very excited to get this one open and see what this cover is. Because, I mean, we already know what the book is. We've got, oh, you can't even see it. There we go. So we have the Dragonbone chair, and so this by Tad Williams, and this will be the second book in the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn series. All right, here we go. Oh, let me get the bubble wrap off. Okay, that one wasn't too bad. So I do really like the bookmark. That is really pretty. I like that it's a little more subtle and it's not like super busy. Stone of Farewell, November 2024, the fantasy subscription. They also have a subscription box that's a sci-fi one. Hope is like a belly strap on a king's saddle, a slender thing, but if it snaps, the world turns topside down. That's awesome. I like it. Okay, another big chunky one. So Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. Super excited. This is on my must-read series for 2025. Okay, another quick unwrapping here. Ooh, that is so pretty. Stone Farewell by Tad Williams. Oh, that's so thick. Oh, I love the trees in there. So pretty. Oh, I love this. So, old cities and old stories were now part of his very life. It was strange how the future seemed tied inseparably to the past, so that both revolved through the present like a great wheel. Interesting. So let's go ahead and see what's underneath. So here's the full cover of the dust jacket. Oh, I like that. So that mountain is what we have here. That is so pretty, and I love the sword on the back. Stunning. And then we have a just, oh, it's almost tie-dyed kind of look on there with the purple and black. Oh, that's stunning. And then, oh, I hadn't even looked at the side yet. So again, same thing down here. We've got the little ribbon bookmark, but oh, so beautiful. I'm definitely going to have to put them out this side, facing out, because oh, those swords are stunning. I love that. That is so pretty, and I love the coloring in there, the black and the purple. I don't know if you can tell here. It's kind of hard to see, and it's a little dark in here. But how this scene kind of continues here, and that is kind of what you see in here as well. That's pretty cool. Okay, so now we have the artwork. So pretty. It's kind of like, looks so bright and cheerful and happy, just with all those little pastel colors in there. So fun. And then what do we have in the back? Ooh. That is beautiful. Look at that artwork. That is just stunning. So impressive. Love that. Okay, and this is the really tiny print. So the cover art is by Jeff Brown. The typography is also by Jeff Brown, so the font. The end paper art is by Mark Simonet and Peng Lu. And then we have the interior artwork is by Raphael Pinna, which we will get to in a minute. The foil design is by Rachel St. Clair, and again, that was this part here. Rachel, you do beautiful work. And then we have the art direction by Patrick Leo, and author photograph by Deborah Beale, which is that one there. All right, what do we got inside for interior artwork? Now, I do like, actually, for how thick this one is, look at the size of that font. That's actually decent size font. You're not like going blind because you're reading font that's so small. That is actually a nice size. Okay, let's see. So we do have a map inside. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so we have a couple of different maps in here. And then there's this one as well. And then we have some artwork. Is that a Yeti? Abominable Snowman? I don't know, but I'm looking forward to reading this and finding out. Let's see if there's anything else in here. Looks like at each new section they have kind of a map of the area that they're talking about, which is kind of cool. Elliot Brooks from EB Novels, she wrote Peace and Turmoil, and in hers the chapter headings had the section of the map of where that chapter was located. So whatever was going on, the characters that were in that chapter, it showed the area on the map that they were from, which I thought was really cool. Ooh. Another one here. Okay, I think that is it. But this is just such a stunning series. I mean, just look at the coloring on both of those. Oh, just beautiful. Got the light teals on this one. You got the purples. The purple kind of carries throughout both of them. So pretty, and I like that the titles match on both. They have the similar detailing. I cannot wait to read this series next year. It's gonna be so much fun. But thank you so much for joining me as I wrapped up my November readathons and how I did and what I read, and also for my quick little The Broken Binding unboxing, because those are stunning and I can't wait to get the next book in the series, which is, it's going to be broken into 2 different books. So it's a 3-book series, but you get 2 books for the last one because it is so big. I'm looking forward to it. And if you have made it this far in the video, leave some type of a sword emoji in the comments because of the design here on the edge. So pretty. So yeah, leave me some type of a sword emoji in the comments to let me know that you're here, and let me know how you did on all of the readathons that you participated in November. And until next time, keep reading. Bye!